to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here. Now, this is a hypnosis session to evaluate ending a relationship while you're still in that relationship. And I was working with a client that was very, very self-aware. They knew their priorities, they knew their needs, they knew the qualities they wanted in their partner. And they had spent over a year trying to make it work in their current relationship. And the current relationship ticked a lot of boxes. It was a lot of the kind of person and the certain things that just really were important to them, but something felt missing. And they had tried to coax their partner into being more interested in certain areas, and it just wasn't for them. And that could be either a nice to have, it could be a like, but for some people it's really a need to have. And some people will base things on physical attractiveness. Other people might based on shared values or cultural beliefs or interests like music and other things. Each individual has their own kind of things which are really, really important in a relationship, and other things which are kind of doesn't really matter. It's kind of here or there. Now, this client had things that they thought were really important. So what this hypnosis session does is, before they made the decision to end or remain in the relationship, to give them 3 different futures so they could test drive how their unconscious believes each decision would pan out. And the first future is a future where they just stay in the relationship that they're in and they keep doing what they have been doing. And they imagine what that would be like for another year. Now, if that feels like, well, that's good, then there's no need to change anything. And one of my favorite phrases is, if you're not changing, you're choosing. And what that does is it means that sometimes people think, well, change is to do something new. No, if you continue to do what you're doing and you could do something else, you're still choosing to stay the same. And that's really useful if you feel unsettled in a particular area, because once you frame keep on doing what you're doing as a choice, a lot of people would say, oh, I don't want to make that choice. So that's why that has to be there as one of the options. The second option is to look at a future where they try and meet their needs outside of the relationship. There were certain things that were really important to them about a sense of spirituality and community, and they weren't sure if that could happen in the relationship or not. So the second future is they stay physically in the relationship, but they try and meet those needs in a different way rather than trying to get those needs met within the relationship. And then they got to feel how that would feel to see that future. And then the third future was to see them ending the relationship and then meeting those needs individually, but then finding a relationship where those needs could be met. And they got to imagine 3 different futures. And the purpose of this is not to hypnotize someone to make a decision. It's not my place to make a decision for anyone, but to give them the unconscious ability to evaluate what emotions come up and what insights come up so they've got clarity. It's very difficult if you make a decision that feels rushed and kind of spur of the moment and not thought through. That can lead to regrets. But if you really think it through and you weigh up all the different options and then you make a decision, that can feel really empowering and decisive and help to avoid any feeling of regret. Now, this was for an individual client. Some of the references are highly calibrated to the kind of things that they either wanted in a relationship or their needs that had to be met. That might not be your needs. So I would encourage you, if you are at the, let's say, the possible end of a relationship and you're not sure whether to end it or not, when you think of the 3 futures, get really, really clear on what would staying the same be like for you, what would trying to mend the relationship be but meet the needs in a different way, and what would it mean to end the relationship and try and get your needs met in a different way being single, that would be helpful for you to get more out of this session. And at the same time, if you like the idea of a bespoke session or a series of sessions, most people don't work with me for just one session. Then we normally have, an average of 5 sessions to kind of work on different areas. If that appeals and you've been thinking about that for a while, have a look in the description, the show notes of this episode, or what you can do is go to my website, adamcox.co.uk, book a free consultation call over Zoom. We'll have a chat, and who knows, we might end up working together. For now, though, find a quiet, comfortable place where you're not going to be distracted or disturbed. Relax and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in a resourceful feeling of calm and relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow your eyelids to close and start to feel a sense of connection. Connect with the rhythm of your breathing in and breathing out. Scan your body, perhaps for any clues of release, and just allow that feeling of release in your outward breath. Breathing in that feeling of distilled relaxation, and allowing any doubts, any fears, any worries or concerns to feel like it's leaving your body in your outward breath. And maybe you can detect a heartbeat or a pulse. And maybe you can get a sense of a frequency, a temperature, an energy. And as you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to feel like you're fine-tuning your frequency into a frequency that feels connected and empowered. Every now and then, it's possible to allow fears and doubts to change that frequency. But I want you to connect with the idea. Connect that when you are in alignment with your most empowered frequency, then decisions come from a place of infinite abundance. Scarcity becomes almost immaterial. So breathe in that feeling of powerful connection and look for clues of that connection within. Maybe it's a sensation in the chest. Perhaps you can imagine a color. And notice the deeper you breathe, the more connected you feel. And as your body relaxes, your imagination awakens. And I want you to imagine what it would be like to be on the threshold of a multiverse. And I want you to imagine seeing infinite other realities that match your own. And what changes each of these realities. Sometimes it's just a single decision. And I want you to imagine, of all those infinite realities, your unconscious chooses three different realities where everything is identical to your own, but with one key difference. A different choice that is made around this time in your life that could ripple into your future and could create changes. I want you to invite three different versions of you from three parallel universes into a place that you consider safe, into a place that feels familiar, into a place where you feel aligned. And each of these three different versions of you will live their life in their reality for 1 year and then report back as to how they're feeling and what life is like for them. And I want you to speak to that first version of you, a clone in every way. They are your genetic doppelganger, but they will have a particular path. They felt that a pendulum has been swinging between commitment and release, and they weren't sure what to do with that feeling. But in this first reality, they commit to doing whatever they can to make that relationship work. And maybe they do that by accepting that their partner is just different to them, that their own needs don't have to be needs of others. Or maybe they commit to the relationship by aiming to inspire curiosity, fascination, something that gets them closer to a form of synergy. And you don't need to know exactly what they do, only that in this timeline, they are absolutely committed to that relationship for 1 more year. And I want you to see that version of you almost get teleported down a 4-dimensional wormhole back to their reality, living their life for 1 year from now. And then bring forth a second version of you from a second reality. But they perceive the pendulum differently. They perceive that life is too short to settle, because if you settle, you end up worrying about what could have been. If you settle, you may even resent that person or thing you're settling with. So this second version of you, they decide to end that relationship. And they prioritize meeting that spiritual, that growth, that consciousness need, not in a relationship with a life partner, but just from the world. They find it in conversations. They find it in interactions. They find it within a community. That in this timeline, it's desirable to find it in one person, but not necessary. And I want you to see that version of you with absolute clarity that is how they will live their life. Out of a relationship with no need to be in a new one, and then see them travel down their four-dimensional wormhole back to their parallel universe, living their life for the next year. And then bring forth one final version of you. A version of you that is in exactly your situation right now. Hemming and hawing about whether they're doing the right thing. But this version of you creates a clear decision. And their decision is, they don't settle for anything. Life is full of infinite possibilities. This version of you understands that ending a relationship is difficult, but can be a form of tough love. To do the right thing is sometimes painful. Some people believe that if you love them, you set them free. And I want you to imagine that version of you does the difficult thing and ends that relationship, but goes forward in life with high standards and absolute clarity. If the relationship doesn't meet what they truly desire, they don't want it. And I want you to see something in that third version of you that seems courageous, but also full of wisdom. That third version of you is clear that they want that connection, that shared interest, that shared goal, a vision of the future in the person they choose to be with. And anything less than that is not the relationship that they want. And then allow that version of you to step into their wormhole, to arrive in their reality and live their life for a year. You're still in that room, and I want you to imagine that each of these wormholes almost becomes a lens to observe their realities. But in the fourth dimension, time isn't linear. You can hone into moments, to memories. And I want you to look into that wormhole of the version of you that tried to make it work. As an observer, see the dynamics. See the ripple effect of intention, action, and then reaction. Allow your unconscious mind to give you insights into what is likely or probable or even just possible in that timeline. And then stare into the second wormhole. See those emotional growth, consciousness needs absolutely being met. See what that does to your spirit, your energy, your passion for life. But in this timeline, it does not come from the relationship. You get it from friendships, connections, acquaintances. Perhaps you even get it through books, maybe it's even secured through the connection you have with yourself. And get a sense on that version of you. Do they seem happy, aligned, or is something missing? And then stare into the third wormhole. Observe that reality, like you're an invisible entity just observing, seeing what happens. And I want you to see the positives and also the challenges. Life can be messy. Sometimes solving one problem causes two more to appear, like chopping off the head of a hydra and two more grow. But sometimes life isn't about choosing what's easy. It's about choosing what is worthy, desirable, essential. And then I want you to imagine that a year has passed, not for you, but for them in their realities. And bring forth the first version of you that stayed in that relationship. And imagine hearing their experiences. Are they happy, frustrated? Do they have any regrets? Did they make it work? And first just listen and then inquire. Ask questions. And when you feel that you've evaluated enough, either intuitively, observationally, or through casual interrogation, just let me know by nodding your head. That's it. I want you to thank that version of you, give them a hug, ask them to stay, and then invite the second version of you, where those needs were met outside of that relationship, and not in a new one. And listen to them, observe their mannerisms, their facial expressions, the tonality of their voice. They've got nothing to hide, nothing to prove. All of you are exactly the same. They are open, vulnerable, sharing the good, the bad, the ugly. What are they happy about? What are they frustrated by? Take it all in. It's all just information for your unconscious to process. And when you feel you have enough of an understanding from that reality, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. And then bring forth the third version of you that's just spent a year having ended one relationship and looking for certain needs within a new one. High standards, discerning. And when they come forth, observe how they seem. Their facial expressions, are they smiling or sad? How's their posture? Are they confident or uneasy? And when they share their experiences as to what's happened, what emotion is linked to their tonality? And you can ask them questions. How do they feel? Are they happy they made that decision 1 year ago? Is just your unconscious exploring a timeline and reporting back. So ask them anything you want. Notice whatever you notice. And when you feel you've evaluated enough, thank that version of you. But before they all leave, each of them has a resource that they amplified in that year. Maybe in the first timeline they're more resilient, more proactive, or something else, and they hand you a glowing energy of a resource, and that is for you now. Take it from them, place it to your chest, and absorb that resource. And the version of you that had those needs met outside of a relationship, they also have a resource for you. Maybe it's more self-sufficiency, more self-belief, more compassion, or something else. But again, they pass you that glowing resource. Take it from them, absorb it, integrate it. And then finally, the third one. High standards, absolute clarity, and they hand you a resource. Absorb that one too, and the combination of these three resources now means that whatever you do, you are harnessing the resources of the version of you that can already handle that future well. Say goodbye to your alter egos in different realities, feeling wiser for their experience. And then find yourself at a point of reflection, allowing thoughts, ideas, insights to just arise within you. And there is no need to make a decision now. Consider this: gathering all the information alongside your real experiences. And feel that your unconscious will give you clarity and epiphany, what may feel like a eureka moment, where everything feels aligned to that choice. Some people believe that whatever you don't change is still a choice, because you're choosing for things to remain the same. I want you to get a sense that these three choices are not the only choices. It may be a hybrid, or it may be something entirely different. But consider this: all the ingredients you need for a moment of clarity, courage, and conviction, that when you make a choice from that place, the universe will conspire in your favor. It's time to leave this place deep within your imagination and to return to the present. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Connect and calibrate into the here and the now, as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of The Hypnotist. If you've enjoyed this episode or got some value from it, please give it a 5-star rating and review. And maybe you know someone that would also benefit from this particular episode, in which case share the episode with them so they can also get the benefit too. And if you would like to listen to this episode where it's just the hypnosis, so no intro, no outro, no explanation, just the hypnosis and completely ad-free, there will be a link in the description where you can subscribe at a very low cost and only get access to the hypnosis. So if that's of interest, please check that out. Thank you again for being a regular listener of The Hypnotist, and I'll see you again soon for more.